about the collapse of species or the collapse of industrial civilization or near-term human extinction, or however we want to name these enormous changes that are taking place, once we enter the territory of really thinking about those, we're out of intellectual territory or rational mind territory. Then we're in existential territory. Questions of meaning and purpose, questions of life and death. And so whether it is our own personal death or the death of the planet, one of the things that is really important if we're going to navigate either one of these consciously is to do it with wisdom and awareness. Lots of people die without any real awareness of the fact that they're dying. For those who may not have recently read the book by Stephen Jenkinson, Die Wise, I strongly encourage folks to read this because he talks in great detail about how important it is to die with awareness and consciousness. How to look at these issues, whether we're talking about our personal extinction or planetary extinction, to do so with an attitude of openness to outcome. Now that sounds easier than it actually may be. There's no 5 steps to how do we do this gracefully, because it's always going to be challenging. But one of the most important elements that I've found in coping with this is surrender to outcome. And I know that people who are passionate environmental activists may have difficulty with this, particularly people who've been fighting for decades to make a difference, to reverse this tendency. And yet, that may not be possible at this point. In fact, it looks very unlikely that any of this can be, as we say, mitigated. Rather, it's time for us to consider that what we are facing is our own personal death and the death of the planet. So how do we meet this with consciousness? Well, the first thing, I think, is to open up to the possibility, and then to say, what would this look like? If the end of me, what does that look like? And to open up to that possibility without resistance. We know the old saying, what we resist persists. So we have this opportunity to employ surrender. Now, in this culture, surrender is usually associated with giving up. We're a culture that's taught to fight to the end. I'm not going to give up. Whether we're dealing with stage 4 cancer or we're dealing with some imperial enemy, we say, we got to fight to the end. And yet, that's not how we go consciously and with grace to our extinction or to our personal death. So surrender just means an openness to outcome, the realization that we're not in control, the realization that we cannot really handle this with the head. We have to handle it with the heart. And even handle it is not really an appropriate term, because we're not handling anything. We're passing through it and allowing it. And we need support for that. So if I'm in a place where I'm surrendering to the outcome, it's likely that I'm going to encounter other people who are in a similar place. In fact, I should seek those people out because I need their support and they need mine. And that then begins to end the myth of separation as we come together in this place of no outcome. I don't know how it's going to be in the end, but I know that you're with me and I'm with you. And I know that together we can create a beautiful quality of life, that together we can celebrate and love and share and find meaning and purpose. When we're able to surrender, we're not putting our energy into fighting. We're not trying to push it away or make it different. And we're not giving up. To give up would be to, as I like to say, put on our favorite pair of pajamas, go to bed, and put the covers over our heads and do nothing. But rather, we realize where we're probably headed, And the urgency of loving each other, the urgency of service in the world, the urgency of expressing our compassion, the urgency of just allowing ourselves to come together in a spirit of supporting each other and being with each other in our pain, our joy, our fear, our despair, whatever that is. And that's the beginning of the end of separation. So, on this day, I celebrate the capacity of each of us to surrender. Not to give up, but to walk together in a place of openness to whatever the outcome may be, and whatever lessons, deep lessons, that outcome has to teach us together. Who do we want to be in the face of this crisis? And what do we want to give? Those are the two questions that I live with, and that I hope you will come to live with as well.